Hi everyone, may peace be on you all, and welcome to this year's second Ramadan episode of I'm Muslim and That's Okay. And as always, I'm your host Shayla, and I am back with, as I said, the second part of my Ramadan episode. And I thought that for this episode, I would introduce about the practices of Ramadan. And I know most people know that, we are fasting from dawn to dusk. Isn't that all there is to it? No, actually, that's the thing. I think most people don't realize it, that it's not just that we are fasting. Yeah, that's a huge part of it. No doubt about that. But there are also other things that Muslims do, that they practice during the month of Ramadan. So let's go back to the basics, okay? Yeah, we fast, but how do we fast? So our fast begins just before sunrise. We have our pre-dawn meal, which is called suhoor or sehri. Yeah, when I was growing up in Pakistan, that's what we used to call it. And most people, usually have a big, heavy meal. It depends on what you prefer. And because it's got to last the day. And, plenty of food, plenty of water. And that is just before sunrise, or our first prayer, our Fajr prayer. That is the first prayer of the day. And as soon as we hear the call to prayer for our first prayer, that is the time when we need to stop eating. Can't be eating after that. So we do our intention for our fast at that time. And then the rest of the day, we don't eat, we don't drink until sunset. That is the time of our fourth prayer. I had to count down in my head. But that's just before our prayer, right after sunset. There's still some light out, but the sun has officially gone under the horizon. And that is the time when we open up our fast, or what we call an iftar. And, again, at that time, there's usually a whole lot of food that we've been fantasizing about for the whole day. We make that, prepare that, and then that's what we open our fasts with. So that's the basics of the fast. But there are also other things that we do. This is a month where, according to our beliefs, Muslim beliefs, that all our good deeds, any good deed that we do, is multiplied by tenfold because we are fasting. So we try to do as much good deeds as we can, and acts of charity are one of the most popular. So yeah, just like for Christians in Christmas, it's the time for giving. For Muslims, it's Ramadan. Ramadan is the time for giving, and that's what we do. We practice our greatest acts of charity most of the time during Ramadan. And if for those who might not know, of our 5 pillars of faith, one of them is charity, or what we call zakah. And it is to be given at some point during a singular year, and it's usually 2.5% of whatever wealth we have accrued over that year. I mean, like from a savings, you might say. So if we've saved up, let's say, I don't know, $5,000, so you have to give 2.5% of that in charity. So what Muslims usually do is that they wait for Ramadan to give that act of charity, that zakah. So the reward for it is multiplied. So that's one of those things, that those practices that Muslims do during the month of Ramadan, that charity is a big part of our Ramadan, because again, when we're fasting, we do realize acutely, the needs of the poor and the hungry and the needy. So we do our best to, give, so somebody else who needs it more than we do can be better off. And then, we get more reward for it. And the other thing that is, a practice that is a part of Ramadan is prayer. And not just any prayer. I mean, most people know that we have the 5 daily prayer, but we do a lot of extra prayer, a lot of reading of the Quran. And we have a special prayer that happens right after the 5th prayer of the night, which is the last prayer of the night, and we call it the Tarawih. The Tarawih is usually one of those prayers that is an extended prayer. can last up to an hour, hour and a half, sometimes even more. Depends on how much someone would like to pray. It's not obligatory. Let me put that into perspective. It is definitely not obligatory, but again, acts of prayer are also give multiplied reward in Ramadan. That's why people like to do more of it. So we do the Tarawih at night after our very last prayer, the Isha Prayer as we call it, and this is something like that's new for me as well. I did not traditionally grow up, praying the Tarawih because of how it was culturally back in Pakistan when I was growing up. But Tarawih it's one of those things that in and of itself, it's a real test of strength because the prayer is so long. And, it's a test of patience and faith, especially since you fasted the entire day. And then with this prayer going on for an hour and a half, sometimes even 2 hours, by the time you're done, it's easily around 1 o'clock or at night. So for those who do it, again, they go to sleep, after 12 or after 1, and then waking up again, before dawn to do their morning breakfast just before the fast, the suhoor. And it is, when you look at it, is really an act of faith that, we do this. And I'm not saying like I don't do this regularly. I don't do the Tarawih regularly, like my bad. But and again, since it's not obligatory, for those who have small children, especially women who are taking care of small kids at home, it can be a lot. Kids are very demanding. But those who can do it, do it because there is definitely a multiplied reward for it. So that is those are some of the practices that happen during Ramadan. And then for like on an individual level, a lot of people will do individual acts of good deeds and charity and prayer, and that's different. Everybody, if you ask somebody, what is the common practice for you in Ramadan? Fasting obviously will be number one. Tarawih would be another one that people will speak up, but everybody also has different individual acts that they like to do during Ramadan, which comes into any of the categories of charity, good deeds, or prayer, and it's different. So it would not be the same for everybody, but the bottom line is what our practices are helping us to gain reward, and that's why we do it during the month of Ramadan. So that is what we do as a practice during the month of Ramadan. I hope y'all gained a little more insight about what Ramadan is for us in a little bit of a totality. And in the next episode, I will be focusing on prayer. I know I touched upon it on this episode, but I'll go into a little bit more detail about how our prayers are during Ramadan. Until then, I hope to see you guys next time. Take care of yourself, and may peace be on you all.